Hi, it's Morag here. So I'm at an eco village called the Paddock, which is not far from Castlemaine, actually just on the edge of Castlemaine. And I've just had the fantastic opportunity to walk around with a number of the people who live here, who've been living here for quite some time. It's been a bit of a rainy day, which is beautiful. It makes the gardens all look gorgeous. So I wanted to just take you for a bit of a wander around, because this, I think, would have to be one of the most beautiful eco villages that I've ever been to. So there is about, I think, 20 odd houses. I'll have to give you the details later, but so I've just entered in from the car park through this lovely greenway, and I'm heading down into the community farm, and behind me you'll start to see the houses. So basically what you see is a series of beautiful ecological terraces that are wrapped in an arc looking across the lovely native areas, the pond, and all of this edible garden. So everyone in these houses owns their house. So they own the apartment, and they're 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom and 4-bedroom. And then each of them have just a small little backyard, just for a little bit of gardening, maybe a wicking bed and some herbs and some natives, and maybe a fruit tree just right at their back door. But then the rest of the food growing happens here in the community gardens. And so all of these houses look down onto this community food space. Food is at the heart of this community. Absolutely brilliant. This is exactly the kind of development that I have been talking about for years and dreaming of it being, and here it is. It's so beautiful. So if you just look around, I'm underneath a grapevine that's going to become an outdoor room. There's children's play spaces, there's fruit trees. I'm going to head over here to a shared workshop space. Going through the little olive grove. So when the olives are on, they get together and process the olives together. Beside me here is the shed. So this is where the band practices. If you've got some work to do, borrow some tools, just come in here and do whatever you need to do. So this is kind of like the shed where you do all that kind of sheddy stuff. And behind me over here is the chicken area. Now, so instead of everyone having their own chickens, there is just one chicken pen. And so how it works is you can be part of the chicken group, and there's a WhatsApp group that coordinates what happens with the chickens. Hello, chickies. The group that coordinate the chickens come down and just volunteer. They look after the food, and they make sure the water's okay, collect the eggs, and then they take the eggs up to the community house. There's one of these terraces, the one right in the middle, and just that one, I think. So that's the community house. It's a shared space where they have meetings and gatherings. So the eggs get taken up there, and then anyone who wants eggs can go up and buy eggs for 50 cents an egg. And the money from the eggs then goes in to buy the food or to help to care for the chooks. So that system works really well. Hello, darlings. How are you going? So got little gardens in there. It's fully protected so they don't get eaten by any birds of prey, and large enough so it's very self-maintaining. And they've got a really nice big straw yard run. So very happy, healthy chickens. Now, the thing is, Castlemaine gets quite dry. It's a very dry climate, so they've got very water sensitive, resilient garden. They've got things like pig face and lots of native trees. And any of these fruit trees that are in here in the gardens, they're all on terraces. They all have a lot of mulch, a lot of compost, and they also have irrigation to make sure that they can survive. The key thing too here was that it's a really big part of this is it's rewilding. Bring back the native indigenous vegetation here in a way that is actually helping species to recover in this area, and that is a big part. So Dominic Hess was involved in helping to advise in that and what kind of species to incorporate. So I'm just walking over a rockery area, lovely little bridges here. So I've got this dry riverbed coming down through here, all surrounded by local indigenous species. Up in the trees you'll see little bird boxes and bat boxes and native beehives around. And so the whole place is really designed to be a healthy human habitat. This is the phrase that I'm using now. This is the goal. How to create healthy human habitats. We need to create spaces that are healthy and nourishing and friendly and warm for people, that they need to be beautiful, wonderful, wild spaces that help to regenerate the local ecology here. And also it's a food growing area as well. How do you put all those things together? You know, it's that reintegration of how we can be human, how we can meet our needs in the smallest space possible, while at the same time helping to regenerate and create resilient communities. You know, one of the fabulous things, as I was walking around this community with the neighbours, there's people coming down, everyone's chatting away. I got to meet so many people just in a short period of time. Over here, there's little gardens come next to the back of there. They go out the back veranda, down into a little garden, and then there's a gate that comes out into this public space. So the commons is the main part of this place. There's this row of houses that circles around in a big arc, and the rest of it is commons. And so the community manages this commons together. They have about 5 different formal community organisations which help to manage the different dimensions, and then other informal things that happen. So if you're a resident in one of those apartments, you also get access to at least one wicking bed. If you live up there in one of the houses, you can just walk straight out here and you might have 1 or 2 wicking beds that have been supplied by an initial development. So it's been here for about 6 years. People bought off the plan. The developer worked to design this place, and then people bought off the plan and then started moving in and have been inhabiting these gardens and the community spaces. And just recently, actually, the development's finished and it's been handed over to the community, and now the owners' corporation, it's kind of like a body corporate, is now community managed. So yeah, behind me you can see all these community gardens, wicking beds, and then all these indigenous plantings, some big gum trees. And when you look out from the second story, you just look out across this magnificent garden area and across to the forested hills. You would not expect that you're just on 1 and a bit hectares of land. Extraordinary if you think about it. You know, imagine what would have happened here, how it would have been chopped up, and you would not have had these commons, you would not have had these wild spaces, you would not have had these beautiful little ponds where the frogs are thriving. I can hear them, they're really going, it's raining now, so they're really going off quite considerably. So there's these incredible values that are held when you think and design differently. Why can't we have this kind of development absolutely everywhere? I would in fact love to see something like this in the middle of Crystal Waters. It'd be so great to actually have a village within the village. And I think this kind of example really shows what could be possible. It's beautiful. I'm absolutely in love with this place. There's a couple of houses that are rented, but most are owner occupied. There's none for sale at the moment. The prices are relatively similar to what you would pay for other houses in the area, so it's not more expensive. They're all got fully solar on their roof. They're grid interactive at the moment, but they're exploring how they can have a microgrid battery. So the whole thing is grid interactive, but they manage themselves together. So there's one line that comes in, and they've all got smart meters for charging, but it's managed together. So they could easily put on some community batteries so that they have more resilience in that. So there's a couple of electric bikes that are shared. People use those, they just borrow those. So the WhatsApp group really helps to organise lots of different things. It's beautiful flowers. And there is also conversations about trying to have a car sharing system. That's on the wish list. And, you know, having lived at Crystal Waters for 25 years, I know that there's lots of things on wish lists, and there's a time when they'll become a reality. Things go in waves, energy. And at the moment, this group is still forming. Some people have just moved in. There's this section over here is a new section. This was the first section over here. You know, lots of ideas, and they just had a workshop recently to imagine what would we like to see here, because the original vision was really developed by the developer. Wonderful woman. I met her actually. She was wandering through here. Sadly, her husband a few years ago, who was one of the key people who made this place happen, had a catastrophic bicycle accident and is in a care facility with severe brain damage, which is absolutely devastating. They had lots of different ideas to continue doing this work, but she's now handed over this to the community. So if you're a resident here, then you can harvest the food from the gardens that you tend. You have gardens just near your back door. You can have little gardens on the front door as well, near the front door. All of this community space, which is managed together, you can just come down and harvest. So there's sort of wild self-seeding lettuces, there's herbs. I just saw a lady come down and collect flowers for the table. There's all the fruits to share. Now I want to take you for a little walk along the main avenue that connects along the front of all these houses here. And it's a beautiful space. So all the houses too have been designed using ecological materials, so they're environmentally friendly and people friendly. So you kind of know that all that choice and decision has been done for you, which is a little bit different from where I live at Crystal Waters, where everyone, designs and builds their own houses and has to, do all their own research. I mean, you ask everyone, but here that was all done. So people bought the houses and moved into finished houses. So I wanted to show you this. This is the walkway that connects all the houses. So it's beautiful. It's shady. There's fruit. This is the Fruitopia corner done by Jan. Lots of fruit here, which leads up to a little walkway. I'll take you up there actually, because up this little greenway is a laundry. And the laundry is a shared laundry, which means that people don't have to have a laundry in the house. You could choose to, but most people don't. Most people come to the shared laundry, hang their laundry out here with some shared bins here. So all good quality dryers and washing machines, and then here shared washing material. And this is where you bring your light globes, your batteries, pill sachets. Oh, and while you're here, there's little bits of information. So up the top you can see what are native grasses and what are introduced species. So a bit of an information hub as well. All the water off the roofs is collected into these tanks. The tanks get fed into the toilets and the showers, and also down for the gardens. And if you wanted to put a little filter system, you can actually drink that as well. But it is connected to mains water and to mains sewage. So there was an original attempt to have a grey water system, but unfortunately something happened and it ended up getting taken out because it didn't quite work how they'd anticipated. So right now I'm at the community house. So one of these terrace buildings here is the community house. The bottom floor is where people meet, like the meetings. You can have shared cuppers, a Friday afternoon cuppa or Sunday drinks. And inside, I don't know if I can go in, it's probably locked. But inside there's a piano, a really nice kitchen, so you can have shared meals there. So the body corporate fees for here are around $1,500 a year. That's not that much. I mean, you're managing all these commons and the collective laundry spaces, the community shed, the workshop. So I think that's fabulous. And then if there's something special that needs to be done, they can put in extra money to that. So I just want to make sure you've just seen this beautiful walkway. I absolutely love it. There's fruit trees and little bee landing pads, lots of natives. So the whole village, once you're in, you park out the front in a little car park. I'll show you that in a minute. And then you come in, and once you're in, this is a car-free space. Safe space for kids, safe space to walk, safe space for the wildlife. They say there's little blue-tongued lizards in the strawberry patch. How cute is that? And then lots of little nice bridges across these dry riverbeds. And there's a couple of little ponds, so most of the water soaks into that. So that's helped to rehydrate the landscape, bring life back into the landscape. It's a place where, birds and frogs and fish, I'm sure maybe turtles even, who knows. I haven't been here long enough to see a turtle yet, but Yeah, and then so there was multiple stages. So there was a couple of stages this side, and this is the most recent one over here, final one, and you can see out the back here the car park. So people drive in off the main road, go either way to their carports, which are provided. You get 1 or 2 spots depending on the size of your house, and then you come into your house, and then there's one side that goes to your car, and then the other door and the gate comes through into the commons. And as you can see here too, I don't know if you can read that, but that says 5 kilometres shared zone. So even this road here, which is an unmade track, is just a gentle, quiet, slow road, which is really, really nice. And I think I'm just coming up here because this is a beautiful outlook where you can see how all the houses circle the commons, the wild spaces, the water spaces, the vegetable gardens, the community orchard. It's really, really lovely. So this is called the Paddock Eco Village, and I just think it's amazing, and I would love to see so many more housing developments set up like this. The interesting thing is that the designer, when he was doing the designs, actually showed what would happen if you use the standard development model of this 1 acre, 1 hectare lot divided up into, big house with garden, and then what it looks like with these terrace houses, with the commons. So you get the same amount of people living here, or maybe more people living here now, but so much more wild space, so much more food, so much more community and connection, so much more joy and happiness and connection and support and possibility for friendships and possibilities for growing local food, possibilities of being collectively part of restoring habitat for endangered species. I mean, there's so many benefits from doing this. It's not rocket science, is it? It's actually one of the most common sense things to do. And I can imagine so many people wanting to live in places like this. So it's really just a shift in the story of what we see is housing, a shift in the story of how housing happens, and what are the qualities, what are the things that we need to put primary. So this is a biophilic community, whereas we put life first. So how do we tend to care for the quality of the living systems of this place? And that includes the wildlife, the food spaces, the people, and the rest flows around that. Instead of putting profit as the primary directive of the housing system. I just went to an event recently. I've been telling everyone that I come across. I was absolutely horrified. It was called Better Suburb Summit. And what they were saying, they weren't calling homes or even houses, they were calling them products, and they weren't calling neighbourhoods or communities anything. They were calling them precincts. Oh my gosh, there's beautiful flowers along here. And these precincts were manufactured precincts to try and create the conditions to maximise the profit on their product. Anyway, I was horrified by this. I was also horrified by the fact that the Minister for Planning in the state of Queensland where I live basically said to all the developers in the room, if you come across any red tape that gets in your way, or green tape for that matter, just come and see me. I have the power to make that go away. Now, I think my jaw fell to the floor. I was absolutely horrified. It made me feel like, how, after all this time, could we be still so unaware that we would accept that as a narrative that's even possible? And what worries me is that over the next 6 or 7 years, as the Olympics comes towards us in Queensland, they're going to build so many houses and so many poor type of housing designs and community designs that don't have any of the qualities that we see here. Don't have any of the food, the nature, the community. They're just simply products squished in as much as possible to maximise the product, the profit for the developers, and then they walk away. It's absolutely upside down, and it has to change. So I think examples like this, the Eco Village, the Paddock Eco Village, examples like Crystal Waters, even though they may not be right in the place that you want to be living, the lessons that we can learn from places like this is in Castlemaine. The Eco Village where I live is up in southeast Queensland. There are examples around the world everywhere around the world. And I've been part of the Global Eco Village movement for decades now. There are examples. It's not like, oh, well, we don't know how to do that. Of course we know how to do it. And there are examples everywhere. So we just need to be able to speak up about this, to be able to find a place where we can have these conversations heard and start doing it better. This shows it's possible. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Why doesn't everyone have access to this? So grateful for the wonderful people who live here, who took me for a tour and explained how it worked and the ins and outs of living here and how much they love it. Yeah, just fabulous. Well, I think if you ever have a chance to speak up about what kind of models of housing, mention these kind of things. Say, it works, it's possible, it's happening, they're examples, and they're really, really successful examples. These need to be put on the table as being one of the primary opportunities for creating good housing, community housing, neighbourhood housing, just housing for anyone. Thanks for watching. So I've got a whole series of eco-village conversations that I'm exploring at the moment because I'm passionate about this idea about how do we create healthy human habitats. That's the phrase that I'm playing with at the moment because we need to be able to create spaces where we have people, food systems, nature, woven together as one cohesive whole. What does that look like? It's not like nature's out there, people are over there, food's over there, we collect the water from here and shove it somewhere else. Like, how does it all happen together in these localised neighbourhoods? It's totally possible. It works beautifully. And it really engages people in being part of their community and feeling a sense of belonging. So, catch you next time.